Good morning, Leah Jacobson. We have a big announcement to make today. But before we do that, how are you doing?
I'm good. I've got my cup of coffee here, and it's pitch black out yet here in Minnesota. It's so winter.
It is frigid cold where I am sitting, but we are so excited to share this with you. And we wanted to make sure that we shared this news today because today is the final day to claim your early bird tickets for the Fearless Future Conference happening in Orlando, Florida. It is the very first conference that we have hosted as Guiding Star, and I just can't wait. I could build the suspense longer, Leah. Like I could, but I feel like it's time to just dive in. We have a series of special guests who are going to be joining us in Orlando to present on the topics of women's health with a significant lens on how do we honor the natural body, the way that we are designed? How do we not suppress what is just beautiful and uh, functional in a woman's body? What does that kind of healthcare look like? And why is it so good for women? We've got Jamie Rachi. We've got Teresa Kenny from the Hormone Genius podcast who are going to be gracing the stage. You're going to be sharing some incredible wisdom. I'm going to be gracing the stage. Our Guiding Star Tampa location executive or clinical director, Tammy Massoud, is going to be on the stage. And we have breaking news. Are you ready, everybody? We're just going to go like this. Breaking news.
The breaking news sign. You popped it up there.
Breaking news. Who is the special guest that we are honoring at our gala with a very special award? Who is it, Leah?
Well, I'm going to just share a little quickly. It's for our Lifetime Achievement Award. So it's not just any award. This is something that is so special because it shows a lifetime of commitment and service to women and to babies. And the woman, the recipient that has been selected to receive the very first ever Lifetime Recipient Award from the Guiding Star Project is none other than La Leche League founder, Marian Thompson.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Marian Thompson is going to be joining us in Orlando, Florida. And why is
virtually. I have to throw the virtually on there. I had a lovely conversation with Miss Marian yesterday, and she is 95 years old. And so sharp as a tack. Oh my goodness. So opinionated, so smart. I just loved talking with her. But she did share with me that she has given up traveling now that she turned 95, but she was still traveling until just very recently. But she said, I think I better stay home.
Oh my goodness, incredible. And I am, so tell us about Marian. Tell us about her history and why are we honoring her with a Lifetime Achievement Award?
Well, I want to highlight La Leche League as an organization because as a founder, I remember one of the first things that I was told as a founder of a women's health organization as a mom. I was a young mom with babies at home, and all of our founding board members were also young moms with babies at home. And we didn't see any barrier to that. Like we just kind of set out and started this whole thing and, started to gather community because we just knew there were needs for other women. But I remember distinctly early on someone telling me, don't highlight that you're all moms, like young moms, like no one will take your organization seriously. And I remember being so angry and kind of devastated by that feedback because I thought, wow, like how discriminatory is that? And when I look at the founding picture of the Leche League, I don't know if we have that here this morning, Lisa, but it is just the cutest. It's these 7 young moms with a whole herd of babies all around them that launched something that turned into an international phenomenon in just a couple short years. They began just at their local church at a church picnic. They were sitting there. Marian Thompson was sitting there with her friend. I believe it was Mary White. A few other women at their parish were just breastfeeding their babies, and women were coming over and their questions they were asking. And it was clear that there was a need. There was a need for that sisterhood and that kind of camaraderie and community that we feel so strongly about here at Guiding Star. And their natural instinct, like mine and like many other women who have founded organizations, is let's get together. Like, let's just get together and see what happens. And they started getting together and it exploded because of the timing, because of the deep cultural need. At the time, this was 1956. some statistics. I don't know if anyone's aware, like it was roughly 25% of women were even attempting breastfeeding, and no one made it, past 6 months. And to nurse a baby at a year would have just been, kind of like almost like at that time, like unnecessary and silly and like disgusting and like, why are you doing that? Like it was just so culturally frowned upon. And these women just said, you know what, like we're locking arms and we believe this is what's best for our babies and we're going to do it. And we're going to do it. And they did it. And it's just incredible to me. And of those 7 initial founders, there are still 2 that are alive. And Marion, I consider her kind of the one I'm most like aligned with, because she served as the initial president from 1956 to 1980 as the president of La Leche League through all of that growth, through all of that expansion. She really was the one who steered the ship. And so we're so blessed that she's willing to come and speak with us virtually. She's going to do a virtual keynote address and receive her award and share what that journey is like, to found a nonprofit, steer it for, oh, there they are. Aren't they so cute?
They're so cute. This is 6. If you're listening to this in audio form, we're just sharing a image. It is clearly from the 1960s. Is that correct?
I think that's 56. I think it's the 50s.
And it's 6 of the 7 founders. They all have small children or babies or infants in their arms. They're all dressed so elegantly. I love that part of this period.
Yeah.
And they
hair, lipstick, and Marion still is beautiful. We did a Zoom call yesterday and she came to the call so put together. So I was like, there's something about these ladies from the 50s that they just understand how to like
femininity, femininity. They knew how to enhance and I guess showcase. Like that was part of culture to be a woman, to dress like a woman. It was how they were raised. So I'm so excited. So you have a personal alignment with her. What do you think others can learn from her? Well, like in terms of the contribution she's made to women.
We did a podcast on this back in November because Marion Thompson, at 94 years old, she's had a birthday since then, but at nearly 95 years old, broke the internet for a day or 2. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but she very publicly resigned from the organization that she founded, that she spearheaded, that she guided and led, for the initial 30 years of its growth into an international powerhouse. She resigned in November from the board of directors and issued a letter that called the direction of the organization a travesty and said, I can't be supportive of this. So she and I had a conversation just about that letter yesterday and what that really felt like and meant to her as a founder, and how sometimes you just know, I can't change the course of this thing that I am within. Like that discernment of when can I do more good outside the organization than inside the organization. And that was like a really vulnerable conversation. And I think there's a lot for all of us to learn when maybe we find ourselves someplace where this isn't where I want to be. And we can kind of rationalize and we can kind of say like, oh, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to stay around and be the good influence and fix it. And she did that for many years within this organization. And nobody loves it more than Marion Thompson. So for her to resign at this moment in time was really, kind of a canary in the coal mine of something's really wrong. When Marion Thompson is saying, hey, I'm resigning, we have to pause and say, what did we do wrong here? So we're thrilled that she's willing to come and share just, her experience a little bit with founding La Leche League, which is, I would say I've done a lot of reading and research on this, both for the class that I'm teaching at the University of St. Thomas and for my own master's. La Leche League was the single most powerful voice in changing the perception of breastfeeding from the 1950s, up through modern time. It's now a very normal expectation that women breastfeed. The breastfeeding initiation rate in the United States is now around 80%. They went from 25% of women even considering it to 80% initiating, and close to half of women, making it past 6 months, which is an incredible achievement. And La Leche League, moms with babies did that.
I think if I had her like what's a question that you're so excited to ask her when we are able to present her lifetime achievement award? I'll share mine as you think about yours. I actually have two questions. Number one, I'd be so curious what it was like at that time. So at that time, I was doing a little reading. Formula was just what was being encouraged. Like it was
Oh,
just,
totally. It was considered superior because like mother's milk was weak.
and so I'd be so curious because, life can feel overwhelming enough when you've got a bunch of small children. So what helped her to go against that cultural norm, to go against
Mhm.
what perhaps very likely, if I can imagine it, very likely a lot of people were saying, well, no, this is just what the doctor is telling us to do, honey. So
Yeah.
let's just calm down and let's do what they're telling us. So I'd love to pick her brain about what kind of kept her motivated and kept her, um, what helped her to take a lot of activity, especially with a bunch of small children. And then the second thing I'd want to ask her is, at the age of 94, when this happened, she resigned because La Leche League um, is allowing people who identify as women, so men who identify as women, who have chosen to breastfeed into their groups. And she just was like, this is not in line with what we originally intended for this group. And so similarly, it's like you're at the, you're in your 90s. You could argue, I'll let somebody else fight this.
Yeah.
What continues to fuel that fight? So that's what I would ask her. What are you looking forward to asking
Well,
her?
yeah, no, I did kind of ask her some of those things yesterday, like, wow. The thing though that I want to strike that struck me the most about her, I think, is that image, because that's kind of the image I have in my brain of like the Lele League founders, like, oh, like, almost a little bit like the trad wives of today, but not really. But like, that's kind of what you think. You see it and you're like, oh, they're all stay-at-home moms. They're all, but as I was talking to her in just like this very rebellious, feisty spirit was very clear. And I was like, well, that makes perfect sense because they were the odd men out. Like they were the only ones breastfeeding. They were the only ones going against all the cultural norms. And you could just hear it in her voice. Like there is a rebel in those sweet little coiffed, lipsticked like moms in their heels. Like they knew what they were about. And I just think it's such an interesting like contrast with kind of what we hear, about women from that age and that time. I know, look at her.
Yeah, she's got some feist, like there's definitely some fire in that smile and in her eyes. Like, absolutely.
Well, and I love, I don't think we even have an understanding of it because now, I mean, we have people pushing back against the breast is best and, they feel like it's a mandate. And so now because it's so normalized, people are like, well, I don't want to do it. Like there's always that rebel's heart among some of us that are like, I don't want to do the thing. But they very quickly enlisted two doctors that formed kind of the support advisory team of La Leche League right at the very beginning. And she shared a lot about one of the doctors, Dr. Herbert Ratner, and how he really was the core of the La Leche League philosophy. And he was a specialist in like early childhood development in the first 3 years and just like imparted on them so strongly that this is for the babies. Like this is what's good for children. Everything from the distance between a mother's eyes to the baby's eyes and their clarity of being able to see and like the hormonal bond and the oxytocin and like it has always been from these founders' perspective of it's my maternal obligation to do the best thing I can for my baby. And they determined and were convicted early on before the science even proved it. Like there was very little science on the composition of breast milk. She talked about their first slogan, which I thought was just a fascinating slogan, was good mothering through breastfeeding. And it was all focused on like, how can I be the best mother that I can possibly be? What can I do? And they were convicted that it was breastfeeding. And the science has again and again and again and again, like as time has gone on, confirmed their instincts as women. They just said, we think this is right. Like we're seeing a difference. Like we're recognizing our babies are thriving. We're going to keep doing it. So I just found that all fascinating. They're not demure little ladies. They're kind of some rebel feminists.
Course, of course, the two of you connected well. And we hope that you will join us and connect as well with Marian Thompson, joining us virtually from her home, joining us in Orlando, Florida, virtually at our gala. We are awarding her a Lifetime Achievement Award,
Yeah.
and we will get to hear from her and ask her a couple of questions. And we would love for you to join us live in Orlando today, like today. That's why we did this.
Buy the tickets today. Don't go to Orlando. Buy the tickets.
Buy the tickets today, because today is the very last day that you can take advantage of early bird pricing, which is why we were confirming everything with Marion to make sure that she had the date secured, and so we could only announce this right now. So we wanted to do this bright and early to give you lots of time still to ensure, if you are thinking about it, if you're on the fence, you have the entire day until the end of the day today to take advantage of the early bird ticket. Leah, if somebody's thinking about this and they're like, gosh, I don't know, I'm not really sure, like it's a bit of an expense to travel to Orlando, I don't know if I can, make the time. If somebody's sitting listening and is on the fence, what encouragement would you give them to come?
I think there's a lot of different reasons why many different people should come. I mean, if you're a medical provider, if you're somebody that's in the field of women's healthcare, I feel like this is kind of this is a call to you that times are shifting, and it's time for you to figure out where you stand, where you are going to be on many issues affecting women's healthcare. And this is the place to come and get the information from other providers, from professionals, from experts, to really form your beliefs, form your conscience, form your practice moving forward, and to connect with others. If you're just somebody who's receiving care, if you're a woman who's just really passionate about this, please come, because when I look at those founders of La Leche, like none of them were like medical professionals. They were consumers of healthcare practices, and they literally changed the world. And that's kind of what Marion was saying. She said, La Leche League has done its thing for this generation of women, and I don't know what the next thing is. It might not be La Leche League. And so that was just a really interesting, I don't know what the next thing is, but it's coming. People will come together and do the next thing. This is where those things happen. You have to be together with the like-minded people for those energies, those synergies to form, and to say, that's what we're doing. So I would really invite anyone that just wants to be at the front end of whatever is next. If you want to be in an old photo of that was the day this thing began. I think that's kind of what this event is. We're pulling everyone together to collectively pool our talents and our energy and our gifts, and let the Holy Spirit blow and see what comes out of it.
We will, of course, be presenting. So there will be talks where you will consume content, but we really have designed intentionally the conference to allow for a lot of time to engage with each other, with the content, with the speakers. There will be lots of time for small group discussion, lots of time to network, and to really genuinely, on a very human level, just on a very personal side. I've been reading a lot, Leah, about, I'm reading a book right now called Reconnected. I've been reading another book over the holidays on the topic of purpose, and how activities, instead of necessarily setting a goal, instead you look at what activities can you do in your life that light you up, but also create incredible impact on other human beings. And I think that second thing is very important to pause on. It's not just an activity for the sake of, I really like speaking, but it's speaking for the sake of, I want to create a connection and an impact with another. And so there's going to be loads of opportunity. Even if the interior designer has, in my brain, has lots of spaces for people to just sit and visit at this conference. We want you to have a very human experience, and it should be extremely beautiful. It is the end of February in Florida. If you're staring at snow currently, if out your window, like me and Leah, you are staring at snow, you can book your ticket to have a lovely reprieve in February and join us for this incredible conversation.
The last thing I want to just invite people to is, we all have experiences of women's healthcare. We all have those things, those voices, those people that say, you can't start a nonprofit as a bunch of young moms. We have those, or you're not smart enough to chart your fertility, or your cycle's too messed up, or you could never give birth, because of your hips are too narrow or your breasts are too small, or all these sort of negative things that are in our brain that we think about ourselves. Like, this conference is actually really working to unpack the subconscious sort of things we carry. So some of our panel discussions, I'm really excited. We nailed down the speakers for the birth panel, birth choice. We're going to be, we're putting some people together, like conversations that really are polarized, that we're seeing very polarized online, that there's not really nice discourse happening. We're going to make it happen here. We're going to have the home birth mom alongside the C-section mom with the OBGYN and the midwife on the stage together, seeing one another, hearing one another's experiences, talking through what things like informed consent and bodily integrity, and like these kind of buzzwords, like what does that actually mean in healthcare? How does that translate into the care we receive when we walk into the exam room as a woman? So I invite anybody that, maybe has had a really terrible experience, or maybe really wants to defend the experience. Maybe you're like, no, it's great. Come, because this is that moment where we're trying to bridge these really far, it's a divided world right now on women's experiences of their bodies. And so we're trying to get it all together and say, what do we want?
It's going to be a rallying cry, and it's going to be a good one. And I'm very excited for the work that will be done at the conference. Please pray for us. It's a tremendous amount of effort to organize a conference of this caliber. So we would appreciate your prayers so much. But truly, I'm excited for the work that will come out of it. I really do see this conference as, our version of a really important, momentous movement. We're already on a movement. We're already doing the movement, but I really do see this as there will be work that will come out of
this. This is our Seneca Falls. Like, that's what launched the women's movement. They came out with their declaration. I have a feeling that we'll come out with our own sort of declaration from this event, is my instincts. I think
So join us. If you're listening to this live in real time, you have until the end of the day today, Friday, January 10th, to take advantage of your $97 early bird. That gets you 2 days of conference. That gets you a beautiful, delicious gala, our fundraising gala. It's a dress to impress gala. So it will be really, really fun. Give you an opportunity to, put on a really fancy dress and heels on. Can't wait for that.
You're not going with my suggestion, Lisa. I said a Florida theme.
I mean, Florida theme could go many different ways.
I think it would be fun.
and you get to save $100. The price goes up by $100 tomorrow. And so we want to encourage you to take advantage of your early bird ticket. Gather with thought leaders and movers and shakers from across the United States and beyond, and let us get the women's movement back on track. Amen. And revolutionize healthcare in line with our natural design. All righty, Leah, thank you. Thank you for dreaming all this up so many years ago. Thank you for meeting with Marian and for really advocating. It was you who really took the impetus to contact Marian, who no longer travels, who is
I was chasing this poor woman through all of her networks, all of her friends. I was like, who's got Marian's number?
Did it. Success. Leah did it. So very excited that she'll be joining us virtually. And we have an incredible lineup of speakers. You can learn everything about our conference and register your ticket at fearlessfutureconference.com. All right, Leah Jacobson, thanks so much. Until next time, everybody.
Have a great day. Bye.